which tends to change the state of rest or the state of motion of a body. Or, in simple words, force is defined as pull or push. Effective force. Effective force on a rigid body is that force causes motion in a rigid body, and the effective force on a non-rigid body is that force changes the interspacing between its constituent particles and therefore causes a change in its dimensions. Kinds of force. So there are two kinds of force: contact forces and non-contact forces. So let's know contact forces. The forces which are applied on body by making a physical contact with them are called contact forces, and the forces experienced by the bodies even without being physically touched are called non-contact forces. Kinds of contact forces. Frictional force. When a body slides over a rough surface, a force starts acting on the body in the direction opposite to the motion of the body along the surface in contact. This is called frictional force or force of friction. For example, when a book placed on a tabletop is pushed to the right, the force of friction acts on the book towards the left. This force comes into play as soon as the book tends to move and resists the motion of the book on the tabletop. Next, normal reaction force. When a body is placed on a surface, the body exerts a force downwards equal to its weight on the surface, but the body does not move or fall because the surface exerts an equal and opposite force on the body normal to the surface, which is called normal reaction force. Next, tension force applied through strings. When a body is suspended by a string attached to the rigid support, the body, due to its weight, pulls the string vertically downwards, and the string in its stretched condition pulls the body upwards by a force which balances the weight of the body. This force developed in the string is called tension force. Next, force by a spring. Consider a spring with its one end kept fixed. If its other end is either stretched or compressed, the spring exerts a force opposite to the direction of displacement of its free end. The magnitude of this force is directly proportional to the magnitude of displacement, that is, its elongation and compression. This force is called restoring force. A spring balance works on this principle. Fifth, force exerted during collision. When two bodies collide, they push each other. As a result, equal and opposite forces act on each other. These forces are the force of action and the force of reaction. Kinds of non-contact forces. So there are three kinds of non-contact forces: electrostatic force, magnetic force, and gravitational force. Let's know about electrostatic force. Two like charges repel while two unlike charges attract each other. The force between the charges is called electrostatic force. This force acts between the charged objects even when they are separated. For example, when a comb is rubbed on dry hairs, it gets charged. If this comb is brought near the small bits of paper, opposite charges are induced on the bits of paper and they begin to move towards the comb. The motion of paper bits is due to the electrostatic force of attraction exerted between the unlike charges on the comb and the paper bits. Next, magnetic force. Two like magnetic poles repel while two unlike magnetic poles attract each other. The force between the magnetic poles is called the magnetic force. This force acts even when the magnetic poles are at separation. Next, gravitational force. In the universe, each particle attracts the other particle due to its mass. This force of attraction between them is called gravitational force. The Earth also, because of its mass, attracts all other masses around it. The force on a body due to Earth's attraction is called the force of gravity or the weight of the body. It causes motion in the body towards the Earth if the body is free to move. Let's know about the difference between contact and non-contact forces. Contact forces, the forces which are applied on bodies by making a physical contact with them, are called contact forces. But the bodies, even without being physically touched, are called non-contact forces. Hope you have understood